Welcome to the podcast from HeadHunters Northwest. HeadHunters Northwest. Specialized recruiting, specialized approach, where we take you behind the scenes into our customers' businesses. For over 20 years, HeadHunters Northwest has served the global defense, small arms, and shooting sectors worldwide. Listen in as we discuss the inner workings of our USA and international customers. HeadHunters Northwest, finding you the best heads for business.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to HeadHunters Northwest podcast. I am so excited to welcome Alex and Michelle DeVoe. They are the owners and founders of Red Cat. And let's see, I'm not sure how I want to start this. I have to be careful I'm not too vocal because we have a lot of questions to get to. But I first met Michelle at SHOT Show downstairs in the basement, which I actually love the basement. And it was really fun because she stopped me. I was walking down the hallway and she stopped me and I got to see your product. And I still have that product that you gave me that day. And then I got to see you guys a couple other times at different shows. And then most recently at NASGW, where they exhibit and they sell to distributors and wholesalers, which we would love to put you in contact with. And we're kind enough, you probably can't see this if you're not watching the video, you can't see that I have one of their products up. They sent me home with another dry fire trainer. So welcome to the podcast, Alex and Michelle. I would love for you guys to start the audience off with walking us through the journey that you guys have been on from initial concept to getting your prototype in hand. Tell us what your product is for those of the audience who haven't seen it, haven't heard about it. It's really spectacular.
Well, I appreciate it. And thank you so much for having us. So the product is called the Red Cat Dry Fire Trainer, and it's specifically designed for the AR-15 platform. And when I say the AR-15 platform, what I mean is the AR-15, the AR-10, the PCC-9, 300 Blackout, basically anything that has a trigger cavity that's kind of mil standard from a mil standard AR lower. The main issue that it addressed, and the reason I created the Red Cat, is the safety switch on the AR. When you're dry fire training, you pull the trigger and the hammer goes forward. When the hammer goes forward, it actually locks the safety switch into the fire position. And so you can't switch back to safe until you pull the charging handle and recycle the action. Once you do that, then you can manipulate safety switch again. But that's not really how it works when you're live fire training or when you actually have live rounds. And so what that does while you're dry fire training is it kind of creates training scars. It creates bad habits. You learn to rack the bolt over and over again. And then in real world situations or on the range or on a mission or something like that, you end up racking the bolt when it's unnecessary. And that can have, it's an inconvenience at best, but can have detrimental consequences.
Yeah, because the whole purpose to training is to create that memory muscle. And
absolutely.
If you're creating that memory muscle the wrong way, then you're, pretty much doomed because we're only simple humans.
Right.
We're not quite as evolved as we'd like to think we are. That's why we need to repetitively do things.
Exactly. And so the genesis for the project and the idea actually came, I was in the military for 25 years, and about, 15 years ago or so, I started doing 3-gun competitions. And in those 3-gun competitions, you have a rifle, which is 99 out of 100 times is an AR, a shotgun, and a pistol. Most, if not all stages feature at least 2 of those. And so what I did one day early on in my competition career, which was totally on the amateur side, was I actually dumped the rifle. And when I dumped the rifle, I left the safety switch on fire and I left a round in the chamber. So I'm proceeding downrange to hit the targets with my pistol, and the RSO goes, "Stop, unload and show clear." I'm like, oh no, I'm going, what's going on? And so I said, okay, what's the problem? Everything good?
Yeah.
I unloaded, show clear and all that. And he goes, okay, come back with me and let's go look at the AR. And as soon as he said that, I realized that, oh no, I left the safety switch on fire. I'm screwed. And I was. That mishap of having the gun configured to fire with just pull the trigger and then being downrange disqualified me from the entire competition.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it, and it traces back to my dry fire training in the garage and it not really working to manipulate the safety switch enough. And so that safety switch kind of is crucial in competition in that operating incorrectly gets you disqualified. So my first fix was to build an entire training rifle, so a duplicate rifle that I had with the hammer removed. With the hammer removed, I could manipulate the safety switch and pull the trigger all I want. That's a $3,000 solution.
Yeah.
It worked. And I didn't have the issue again in competition. But
And it got somebody a new rifle.
I was going to say that worked out well.
it got the rifle past the appropriations committee. And, so there was kind of a side benefit to that, but certainly a $3,000 solution wasn't really
What a great solution. Tell our audience a little bit about the two of you individually. Tell us what your background is and how did you guys get into this world of firearms? Tell me what is your backgrounds? Maybe each of you could speak to that quickly.
Absolutely. So back in 91, 2 days after I graduated high school, I joined the Navy, and I was in the Navy for 3 years as a P3 air crewman. Then got out, went to college, and got my commission in the Air Force as a second lieutenant. And I did the next 21 years and some change in the Air Force, basically doing combat support, working mostly with the Army. And so I had a few Army buddies, one of my assignments a bunch of years ago that got me into 3-gun training. And then a couple more that I deployed with in Iraq were kind of into it. And so it was kind of just a hobby. It never really was anything too huge, but I really just enjoyed it. I enjoyed the aspect of getting better with my rifle, being able to better understand it, and then the training that comes with it to actually be safe on the range, let alone place anywhere significant in competition. It was a lot steeper learning curve than I had originally anticipated.
More of a challenge than one would think. It's not
Much
as simple as people think.
Right. And so then, of course, that one day I got disqualified, that kind of stuck with me because, I realized, holy cow, I've got to learn. So, I built a whole new rifle. I locked the bolt back so I could do all the switching and all that kind of stuff, but there had to be a better way. And so in the back of my mind, I kind of thought, maybe there's a better way to do it. Well, about 3 or 4 years ago, a friend of mine was talking to me about 3D printing, and I'd always wanted to do it. And I never really had a reason to make that investment and try out 3D printing until I realized, well, wait a minute, maybe I'll try out to making this Red Cat. I could make a little doodad for myself to help with my training.
Yeah.
And so I did. So I taught myself 3D CAD software. Wow. I taught myself how to slice, which basically means how to take that CAD drawing and turn it into ones and zeros for the 3D printer. And then I taught myself how to do printing and all that stuff. I'm learning about materials and different things like that. And then I 3D printed the first prototype. And then about 28, maybe 30 prototypes later, I had my first working prototype. And then from there, it was just tweaking it until I could get to a point where I had a product that was compatible with everything.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. My phone, I thought I had it open.
The people are calling to order Red Cats.
There you go.
Yeah. And so anyway, so the process actually turned out to be, it was kind of fun. I mean, I enjoyed learning the intricacies of the whole thing, and then came out with the product. And then the first time we met, we were actually handing out 3D printed versions of it in little dime bags.
Right.
So
yeah. Wow. Now it's very sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our original little market research at our first SHOT Show, trying to figure out, does this thing have a life? What can we do with this?
What a big investment.
We got a lot of feedback, and it was interesting too, because before that first SHOT Show, I didn't even realize what I had fully. As we left that SHOT Show, I probably learned more at that SHOT Show about the product than I had any time in the life of this whole project. And what I learned was, number one, it was just such a wide-reaching audience in the AR community that this thing benefits. and that was really the big thing, was everything from a beginner who learns how to train the right way from the get-go and build the correct muscle memory without the training scars, all the way up to a tier one operator who benefits from it because it makes their exercises just a little bit more realistic and a little bit more safe when they're doing rehearsals at a shoot house or something like that.
And you got feedback on that when you were at SHOT Show then from
We got huge feedback on that.
That's amazing. What a great testimonial for SHOT Show. So of course it costs money to go to Vegas, but where else can you get that kind of specific feedback for your product right standing in front of you?
Right.
And then follow up? Michelle,
Exactly.
do you think you could kind of walk us briefly through your background? Because you guys are doing this together, but you've got some amazing contribution to this and you have some interesting insights too.
So, funny story, I kind of fell into this. My background is as a flight test engineer for the military. So, I did flight test and large force exercises with special operations and fun stuff like that. So, when Alex was doing this prototyping process, I was still working full time in the corporate world. And he would, when I would come home, he'd tell me, "Hey, I got this, and here's the latest design." And okay, well, does it fit in the rifle? And, it's got to do this and I got to tweak that. Okay, what you're doing is prototyping. You've got to make a log of all of this stuff and what needs to change and how are you going to fix this next issue that you found so that you can get the next thing and figure out what works. So this engineering background became a thing that filled into his tinkering ability and in
That's amazing. I don't even think I realized that until just now. I don't think I put two and two together that you had your own engineering company mentoring you, Alex, all along. Wow, that's amazing, Michelle. So tell us what happened next.
So helping Alex through that engineering process, so that here's what you do when you prototype and here's how you document all of this stuff. And some of that was brand new to him. And from my world, all of that prototyping, you get to document all of that stuff because my job was to make sure that nothing ever got to the warfighter that was going to put them in danger, that was going to harm them, that was not going to be what they needed. So telling him, here's the process, here's what you need to do, here's how this prototyping works, and here's the benefit of keeping track of all of what you did and all of why this works, so that you can turn around and take this to the world. And then you've got the data behind what you're doing. So really interesting to see this product go from something that was 3D printed in our office to now something that is injection molded by an engineering company down the road, a manufacturing company down the road from us, was pretty cool. It was pretty neat.
And everything you guys do, the manufacturing of the product to the packaging, everything is done right there, not very far from you, all USA made and created, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it really is cool. I mean, we're in the Western Michigan community, which is actually surprisingly huge support to obviously the auto industry, but also to the medical industry. It's one of the hubs of the medical industry from a manufacturing standpoint. And then there's just a ton of manufacturing, you got other variables to it, like Kellogg's is just down the road, for instance. And so we had no idea how massive the manufacturing capability and the production capability here just in Western Michigan was. I was thinking we're going to have to go like down the Rust Belt or down south or maybe the West Coast or something like that. So we'd be constantly on an airplane or driving cars for, weeks and weeks and weeks to monitor all that manufacturing. It's 20 minutes down the road. It is fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about, we did kind of cover a little bit about who you serve. It really can be gun owners, but it can also be law enforcement. It can be military. This is much bigger than just the competitive shooter, even though that's what really spurred this on.
Well, that's what our first stint at SHOT Show really taught us, was how wide and diverse the audience in the AR community is, and how the Red Cat can benefit all aspects of that community, from the beginners all the way to tier one operators. And one of the things I learned, and I think this was at the second SHOT Show, we started to talk with law enforcement quite a bit. And that one actually, strangely enough, got a little bit emotional for me because what I realized is in the military, ammo grows on trees. We need to train. We go get our literally just cans and cans of ammo, and we just go until our heart's content. Well, that's not necessarily the case for law enforcement, especially when you're talking about small agencies across the country. And so, and then the other problem that they have is that their training is just so limited. There's agencies out there that fire 15 rounds once a year, and that's all the training they get on the AR platform. And then when you imagine,
or they're paying for it themselves, even worse.
Paying for it themselves,
even worse. And I see that we have a lot of people who reach out that are from departments that say, who can we talk to in the industry? We need a donation. They're law enforcement agencies, Border Patrol, anyone else. There's lots of different types of law enforcement in different branches that these people are paying for this themselves, and they're already underpaid.
Right.
So something like this is a no-brainer.
So what really hits home is, imagine for a second that you're a law enforcement officer and you're out on patrol and you're reaching for your AR. And, when you're reaching for your AR, that means stuff has gone south quick.
Yeah.
And we're reaching for your AR 9 times out of 10 for your life.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about the training that they go through, or the lack thereof in a lot of these agencies, it just sends chills down my spine. And this is something that is low cost. It helps them save ammo, and it's simple to use and simple to operate. And they can train in the safety of their garage, and they can it's great for group settings as well. And so it's something that can really, really effectively fill the gap, especially for those smaller agencies with limited resources. And so, talking with law enforcement, as I'm realizing that, a year or two down our journey, law enforcement agencies are starting to pick up a little bit on that too. And so, this is exciting, especially with the law enforcement community in that regard, because this product really can fill that gap, so that when you are reaching for that AR, you know what you're doing, and you have your chances of surviving an encounter that you have to use the AR to get through go way up. And so that's something
like almost it should be the forefront of your marketing. It's just
it's
limitless.
That's jumped out at us because we know how much these guys don't get the training time that they need. These men and women, who wear the blue and go put their lives on the line every day to protect us while we are going on and on about our business. They don't get a lot of times the training that they need. So to have them have something in their arsenal that will give them the time to do the training without the ammo. I mean, we've even heard of a lot of local shoot houses that have gone completely ammo free for budget reasons. Okay, if you're going to be ammo free, at least let's get you the tools to do the training and make that low cost so that you can touch that rifle anytime you do that training without incurring additional costs. And
your own rifle. You can use this in any of
your rifle.
Yes.
So this works with anything in that AR-15 platform. So, when we talk about the basic mil standard AR-15, that also applies to like the M4, M14. So that
60.
I'm sorry, I'm 16. Bronze. So all of those applications, even if you have that auto sear, the Red Cat will still function for that training purpose.
And you guys are going to be at SHOT Show this year.
Yes,
So not only could people reach you before that, because we're recording this at the end of October, and this is actually going to go live and be published next week. They should make an appointment with you, because I'm seeing this as, if you're someone that's listening to this, I'm like, oh, these are stocking stuffers. These are gift bags. These are, if you have a nonprofit and you're building a gift bag, this is so many ways that you could distribute this and buy this. This is a very inexpensive item to save someone's life. I would venture to guess there's nothing that is more affordable. And the use is unending. It's just unending for any sort of platform that you're referring to. I think it's an amazing product, but now look at how you guys have grown this thing. Who wouldn't want to buy this product from two veterans, and it's
one
all
veteran.
American made.
One veteran, American made. I got to do the military spouse tag along.
Okay, military spouse tag along. That's the engineering.
But with
engineering guard. You can't do it this way. You have to do it this way. But thank you for correcting me. But it's an amazing product. And every time I talk to you guys, I learn more. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know this. So tell me a little bit about, how do you sell this? How do you get this into the market? Who are your buyers? Are they consumers? Are they wholesalers? Are they dealers? How do you sell this?
Well, the first thing, we started the business and we're continuing down the road of, right now we don't do direct to consumer.
Okay.
But part of that is just, we're just a mom and pop right now. And so we're very careful about how we expand. And when you expand, of course, the work that it creates. And so for now, we're just strictly business wholesaler. And that's our business model, and it will continue to be. And so what we really rely on is a couple of things. What we're trying to do is expand our local network here in Western Michigan and go to gun stores. And so we have almost a dozen at this point that have the product. And then the other thing we're doing is the worldwide aspect of it, distribution networks. And so the big ones we have now are Primary Arms. It's available there, and it's also available at the Second Amendment Wholesale. Primary Arms actually sells it, is our key distributor that also sells directly to consumers as well, which is really kind of a key piece to this whole business for us. As it expands, we're ready right now. We've got a warehouse full of 100,000 of them. So we're ready for an immediate uptick and upscale. But beyond that, if it does go beyond that, then with the injection molding manufacturer we have, the packaging and the warehousing fulfillment that we have, we can expand by order of magnitude from there. And then the key thing to this whole thing is our relationship with a company like Primary Arms, where they can help us with that upscale as well. So we're really excited to have partners like Primary Arms and Second Amendment Wholesale with us on the journey.
I didn't look at Second Amendment Wholesale. Good people, though. Good people.
They're very good people.
Yep. Very good people. I didn't look first before we got on here, but it seems like to me, Primary Arms does have a law enforcement arm. I know they have very strong relationships with law enforcement in Houston and around, but it seems like any of those distributors that do have law enforcement specialized lines, they should reach out to you or consider it. Any of their buyers, because this would be, it seems like, a great opportunity for them and for you.
Yeah, and we're just starting to kind of break in, and we've only just made kind of our initial contact with the law enforcement industry at large. We're talking with the ILETA, which is
so law enforcement education and training. So
that's great.
We were able to expo with them, and we've joined forces with the Ohio Small Police Department Association. So particularly helping those small departments and trying to figure out how we can work together and help those small departments. We've had discussions with several police academies and the FBI training academy who think, this might be really good to have as a training tool that's very inexpensive and allows the actual deputies or trainees to train on a service weapon without having to make changes or take parts out of their rifle to do that training.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, this is so huge. So huge. I am so continually, as I say, every time we have a conversation, I'm continually impressed. It's like, holy cow. I don't know. Do you guys ever sleep?
It's been a commodity.
We can.
Wow. You guys are so busy. Okay. So in closing, what are the kind of things that you are looking for? What kind of partnerships are you guys looking for, or resources to get the word out there that would be valuable to you, for anyone that's listening, either on, one of the channels like Spotify or iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, or watching this on YouTube? As you guys, obviously, your business, you've done really well. The product is beautiful. The packaging is gorgeous. You're ready to go. Who else do you want to talk to? What are the other types of organizations or groups that are of interest to you?
Well, I think from my standpoint, there's really a couple of things. One is I think just the consumer crowd at large, not necessarily law enforcement, not necessarily military and all that stuff. We're in the process with those, and we're kind of comfortable. We're not quite at step one in the journey 1,000 miles or anything like that, but we still got a long ways to go. But we're in a good spot there for the time being. I think it's the consumer market at large, and so we're doing a couple of things with them. Probably the big thing is more of an internal thing. Right now, I'm finishing up a training series for the Red Cat that's on the redcat22.com page that anybody can go look at and see what the Red Cat is all about, which has been actually hugely fun to put together up to this point. I've learned a lot about even the capabilities of Red Cat, what you can do. I've also learned about how daunting the task really was. I had no idea when I started.
Yeah, we all know as small business owners more than we wanted to know about audiovisual and
You're
recording.
darn right about that. Way more.
Yeah.
And so we're working on some of those things. The other hope too is that I've got a couple of other things swimming around in my brain housing group that once the Red Cat takes off, I'd like to devote resources to prototyping and getting those products on the market as well. So
Top secret.
So
There you
right
go.
now, very, very top secret. Very, very top secret.
That's one thing that I'm glad you mentioned and I might have neglected to. So I'm super happy you brought up redcat22.com because I actually went on and looked at that and saw your videos. They're quite good. And it's a great website. So I would encourage anyone that is looking for that. We'll include the link on our post for our social media posts and also on our website so people can click right on that website and go right to it. But you guys have a lot more planned. This is just the beginning, it sounds like.
Yes, ma'am, it is. We certainly have a lot more to do. It's been quite a ride so far, but I'd say probably the thing that drives us the most to continue this, other than getting the Red Cat out there and on market and all that stuff, is the AR community and the gun community at large. Some of the most amazing people I've ever met, and it's really fun to get to know new people in that community and all that stuff. One of the funny things about SHOT Show that I hear over and over again from the staff at the hotels is they really, really love when the SHOT Show comes into town, because they're very, very unique, the folks that go to SHOT Show. They make their beds, they clean their rooms, and so all the other conferences, all the other people that are in there, they make a mess, they do all that stuff. But you guys are totally on a different wavelength, and we love having you in town. And that's just a reflection of the community itself and the values and the character of the people in it.
Yeah. I'd say we couldn't have put that any better. You're right, Alex, because you go to a SHOT Show and you walk through the casinos or anything else around the Sands Convention Center, and it's very much filled with respectful people that are, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and very, very polite and very respectful. And I am very proud, very, very proud to be a part of this community. I feel very honored by being that way. Yeah. What's your booth number this year at SHOT Show? And now I'm putting you to the test. I didn't think to ask you that before I.
That's okay. We're on the second floor of the nation, and we're moving up in the wall.
I like the basement. I'm a little bit sad about that.
We're gonna come. It is kind of a sad thing because it's fun to be in the basement with all of the people who are bringing something new.
Yeah,
and moving up and out, it kind of became a traffic kind of a thing. And when SHOT Show came to us and said, "Hey, there's some opportunities. Do you want to move?" And we took a look, and there's something right on the second floor, just outside of the law enforcement area. So we're at 14329.
That's a great location.
Yes,
that is a great location. I would encourage anyone listening, especially if we're going to be at SHOT Show, and of course all the buyers and the executives from any of these wholesaler and distributors that are so important to the success of our industry. Go by and meet Michelle and meet Alex. They're down-to-earth people, super low pressure, just your normal people, your great Midwest people like we all love, and see their product. It's amazing. And I can't thank you two enough for being on the podcast. It always makes me smile when I see you at a trade show. Well, those are our people, but it's particularly fun to see the two of you.
Right.
Indeed. And thank you so much for hosting us too. It's a privilege to talk with you every time. And, this is just fantastic.
Good people. Stay with good people. All right. Well, that's a wrap for the podcast for HeadHunters Northwest. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the HeadHunters Northwest podcast. Specialized recruiting, specialized approach. You can reach out at headhuntersnw.com or call 605-600-1709. Join us again next week as we look behind the curtain into the global defense, small arms, and shooting sectors. HeadHunters Northwest, finding you the best heads for business.